Hi BookTube. As you can see, I'm outside because it's a very warm end of the year. It's the end of December and it's over 70. I think it's like 73 today. And so I don't even need a jacket. I could literally be in shorts and a t-shirt and be just fine. So yeah, I thought it'd be nice to actually be outside filming a video. Hopefully you can hear me. There's actually someone's air conditioning running like right near this picnic table. So hopefully that isn't obstructing the sound. Hopefully you can hear me over that noise if the camera's picking it up. But I thought I would, since it's the end of the month, I would do my December book haul. And I haven't bought many books. The first set I'm going to show you are ones that I found at a bookstore, or a used bookstore, but everything was $1, which I really like because my favorite bookstore in California, everything was $1, hardback, paperback, whatever, and I really liked it. So I thought, oh, there's one here. I have to check it out. But I was kind of disappointed because they weren't in any order. Like there was fiction and nonfiction, but that's the end of the organization. It was a mess. So like trying to find anything that specific author, specific genre that you wanted, you just had to like comb through everything. And it was a decent sized store, but I didn't want to spend so much time just looking through everything. So I did find some books, but it isn't a bookstore I think I would seek out on purpose. Like if I'm in the area, I might go again. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed by that. But yeah, so I thought I'd show you those books first. I have Greg Iles' Cemetery Road. Is a hardcover I found, and this book I think it came out recently, like last year or this year. Yeah, okay, yeah, it came out earlier this year. And I'm reading his Not Just Burning trilogy series. Not really trilogy. It's a series. He broke up. It's like part 1 and part 2 of the series, like each little trilogy. But anyway, so I really like this author, and he writes really good, like atmospheric mystery thrillers. And this is a standalone, and it's about, what is his name? Marshal McEwan, and he's a journalist in Washington D.C. and he never wants to go back to his hometown in Mississippi, but he finds out that his father is terminally ill, so that brings him back into the town. And there's this little like blurb at the top that made me really want to pick it up. I know this author is like really good. It like really like, grips you into the story. But this is I never meant to kill my brother. I never set out to hate my father. I never dreamed I would bury my own son. Nor could I have imagined that I would betray the childhood friend who saved my life or win a Pulitzer Prize for telling a lie. All these things I have done, yet most people I know would call me an honorable man. I wouldn't go that far. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. And speaking, I should have led with this one. Started with this one. This is part of his Not Just Burning trilogy. I think it's like, I read the first 3, and so this is like the, I think this is book 1 of that second trilogy, even though they're all tied together, because it's all following a man by the name of Pencage, and like the other book I'll show you, he's a journalist, and this one, he is like a highfalutin lawyer turned writer, and so he goes back to his small hometown of Natchez, Mississippi. He was originally living in Houston, but he lost his wife, and so he's a single parent, and he decides that, and he has a daughter, and he wants her to grow up with kind of the environment that he was in. Even though when he was living there, the town was it was a lot more affluent than it is now. It's really gone downhill, and so he brings the daughter back just to be around her grandparents and have that kind of like family support. But of course, it's a thriller, and so he gets kind of like enraptured in helping his town. Eventually, he's like a, he's a murder solver, but he also wants to help his town. So he's running for mayor, and there's a lot of conflict involved in that, and what he wants to do with the town. And so yeah, I'm really loving the series. So yeah, I'm happy to have picked up this one. And then the other 3 books I got from that dollar bookstore was Roy Blunt Jr.'s Robert E. Lee, and I read a couple Robert E. Lee biographies, and this is one that I saw Steve Donahue recommend. He's read like almost all the biographies, I feel like, and so he said of all the Lee biographies he's read, this is, even though it's really super short, this is the best one you can get. And so I thought, yeah, I'll give this a shot, because I read much longer biographies on Lee than this, and so yeah, I'll take Steve's word for it and give it a chance. Oh, there's even like, I think like some videos, I just like open the first page and there's like there's newspaper clippings. which is I like about getting used books is you find all sorts of things in here. So I'll have to like thumb through it to see if there's any more newspaper clippings. And then I have Alex and Me, How a Scientist and Parrot Uncovered a Hidden World of Animal Intelligence and Formed a Deep Bond in the Process by Irene Pepperberg. And I love like books about birds, and I know just a bit about Alex and how like smart this bird is. And so I thought it's a little quick read. I saw that for $1. I was like, oh, I can't pass it up. And so yeah, I thought I'd give it a chance. And then the last one from this bookstore is Lyric Poetry's Dead Man's Walk. And I read Lonesome Dove. I reread that earlier in the summer, and this is the first book in his tetralogy. I know he started out with Lonesome Dove, and then he added some what happened after and what happened before. So this is like the first book in that series, and it's following a young Gus and Cal when they're Texas Rangers. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think I'm going to save it for when it starts getting warmer. Even though it's already really warm right now, I'll save it for when it gets kind of like hot and humid. Because I don't really. I mean, it can be a winter book, but yeah, I like reading those, a Western in the summertime. And then the next group of books that I'm going to be talking about are ones that I found at the little free libraries around the area. And I love walking I think I mentioned before, I really like walking my dog. And like he and me both, we get bored of walking in the same, trails and whatever nearby. And so I've started to kind of explore and see where else I can go. So the point of me talking about that is I have found a couple of different little free libraries on each of the walks. And so like I'm kind of like structuring my walks now on which little free library do I want to check out today. So yeah, I found quite a few good ones. The first one is Flannery OConnor's the complete short story collection. And this is a collection that I have been meaning to get for a long time. I just happened to find it for free. I was like, yay, that's just perfect. I read most of her stories like years and years ago, but it was a library edition, and I didn't read all of them. But I think I read it like incorrectly because it's a big book, and I was reading it like straight through. And I think, especially for this big of a collection, they need to be like you pick it up and put it down like slowly. So, but since it was a library copy, I only had like 3 weeks, and so I was rushing through it, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I know I could have, because she is a great short story writer. And so I'm going to take my time with it now that I own a copy and work my way through it. I then have Girl in Blue by Anne Rinaldi, and this is about a girl who she's supposed to be married off, and so to a neighbor, and a civil war breaks out, and so she just disguises herself as a boy and enters into the army. Which side is she on? I think she's for the North, because yeah, blue. The blue side, yeah, it's for the North. But yeah, so there's that one, and then another one that's on the Civil War is Rifles for Watty by Harold Keith. And what drew my eye to this is it's a Newbery Award winner, and this actually is like from the 70s. It has like the stamped, like with before the internet, we had to get those like cards and stamping, and so yeah, this is really cool. It's kind of like, it's really beat up, but it's a hardcover, and so it's still it's in pretty good condition, even though it's a really old book, and I'm sure I can fix it up, and it's not like a paperback which is completely dissolved. But this is about Jeff, and he's living in Kansas, and it says he sees both sides of the war, so he's going to visit like the East and the West campaigns. So yeah, this will be interesting to read. And then I have 2 Christmas books. This is Starry Night by Debbie Makeover, and I read this last week as part of like one of the last books I read in December, and I really enjoyed it. And it actually had like in the back a couple additional stories. It had a couple excerpts of her next Christmas book, Mr. Miracle, and then it also had a short story that I read and reviewed, and then it also had like 10 years worth of her letters before she became a published author, which I thought was really cool, to like to get to know her before she was like a #1 best-selling New York Times author, which I thought was interesting, and then it progressed into I think the early 90s. So that was kind of cool to kind of get to know her, as a person outside of being an author. So yeah, I like this one. This is about I guess if you didn't watch my weekly wrap up, I'll go ahead and mention now. It's about a Chicago journalist reporter, and she is working out on the social columns, but she really wants to do like more prominent news, more worthy to her. She feels like the social, like following like art galleries and things like that, is way beneath her, and so her manager wants to have a piece on the guy who is a famous author, but he's very standoffish. He doesn't want anyone to interview him. He kind of accidentally became famous, and so he's not a people person. So her manager says, if you can find this like recluse and interview him, then you can pick whatever kind of topic you want to write articles on in the future. And so she of course finds him, and they fall in love, and it was a really nice story. She goes from Chicago to Alaska, like the blizzard in the like way in, like north of Fairbanks, Alaska. So yeah, maybe we want to pick up more Alaskan novels. And I actually have a friend who moved to Anchorage, Alaska 2 years ago, and it's like, I really need to visit my friend, because I mean, it'd be a nice vacation if I have a place to stay, that'll cut down the cost, because I really want to see like Denali and all those like beautiful areas of Alaska. It's like I need to make some plans here. So I think I'll be more Alaskan novels in my future as I make preparations for that. And then I also have this stupid sticker on it. This is Because It's Christmas by Debbie Macomber and Sheila Roberts. And I know these two authors. I read one of her books earlier this month, and I read I think 2 or 3 of Debbie Macomber's books, and so I was like, yeah, I know these two authors, they do good work, and so I picked this one up. I'm gonna try to get the sticker off, but I know nothing about it. It's like 2 novellas in here. Someone has a coupon for cookies, so it makes like these two authors are great with Christmas time to get some cookies. So I guess the author the previous owner went and got some cookies with this, but it's The Christmas Basket by Debbie Macomber and Merry Xmas by Sheila Roberts. So yeah, there's that one. And these are all the books I got in December. I think what I'm going to do, because like I said, I tried that one used bookstore that was just $1, but it was just chaos in there. I can't handle it. And there's a lot of independent bookstores here, but I like getting books on a deal. And so what I think I'm going to do is, like once I read some of my books, then I will just trade them out at all these like bountiful little free libraries and see what else I can find. An interesting way of doing book hauls. But yeah, let me know if you've read any of these, and I will see you soon. Thanks, BookTube.